throughout this conference, Maxine has inspired scholarship and community action and very personal revelations around the world. Um, um, I wanted to say also that Ruth and I are deeply grateful to the conference committee and the Maxine Greene Institute board, who all lent support, wisdom, and hard work. Special thanks goes also to our librarians, Allison Lehner Quam, and her support intern, Eve Hauser, and of course, Carol Saltz, also on our board, who has helped us with our library work. It's intrinsic to the value of this institute and on our online work. Of course, we are grateful to the interest and beliefs in Maxine's work that you bring to the table. And now, just to let you know that we will be, well, Ruth, you may have some things that you want to share, please. Just make sure you're unmuted.
Thank you. Thanks, Holly. We're looking forward to another stupendous day of presentations and conversations. And I just wanted a couple of reminders. The first is our disclaimer that during this conference, the opinions and points of views expressed by the presenters and during discussion do not necessarily represent the views or official position of the Maxine Greene Institute or the I4 people. Second, if you do not wish to be recorded, please turn off your video and mute your mic. Three, Pam Bernard, Pam, if you'd wave, is our chat monitor. So reach out to her. She's almost over her jet lag, I hope. And she'll have so much to share on chat. Also, every 20 minutes, even though you all know this, but just a reminder, we have 6 hours today. And those who were on yesterday probably already feel it in your eyes. Every 20 minutes, look away in the distance for about 20 seconds. That's all it takes. It'll refresh your eyes and then come back. We're also going to have breaks in still during the day. Yesterday, we realized it really wasn't enough of a meal break as such, but if you want to go get food and come back and turn off your video or let us see what you're eating, please do that. We learned yesterday that we're not just among colleagues, but really new friends as well as old friends. So we're having a big feast today throughout. So please feel free to do that. And I think that is everything. When things come up, we have a full agenda, which Holly will talk about, but enjoy our second day.
Yeah, it's great to see you all again. So I wanted to start as we want to do with Voice of Maxine Greene. We spent a good deal of time yesterday reviewing some of her philosophic influences and roots, and some of the ways in which the practice has been extended throughout the world. Today we're going to continue to do that, but starting with an exploration of an aesthetic education practice as it's practiced in New York City via the influence of the Lincoln Center Institute that she was a philosopher in residence to. That'll be where we start. We have art interludes throughout the day, which give you a chance to take a break, but you may want to see these wonderful interludes as well. We have, as I said, guests from Israel at 1, and then exploration of what work is being done at the University of Cambridge in England and their primary school. So very looking forward to that as well. And then we have open discussion as we did yesterday, so we have a chance to break out and talk to one another more intimately. We have an exploration of speculative literature and social imagination with some excellent graduate students and experts from Teachers College, and which will also be an interactive session. And ending the day with our friends from Australia, who are currently, I think, probably fast asleep, but by the end of the day, they'll be able to join us. So really looking forward to the Australians at the end of the day. And with some closing remarks, we want to hear your feedback. There'll most often be opportunities to have Q&A after every session. So capture your questions and things you want to comment on, please. We will be sending out a survey at the end of the day, and I think, Ruth, do you want to mention anything about the survey?
I do. It has just 5 questions because what's a conference without a survey, right? But this one it's really, I'm going to put it in the chat right now. Feel free to look at it whenever and fill it out whenever you want. We want to know if you're willing, and nothing is required, to put your name and your affiliation. And more importantly, themes going forward for a yearly conference, as well as in the meantime, what would you like to do with this wonderful group that we've amassed? So if you could fill that out, that would be very helpful. And then we'll share the results shortly.
We'll also
Probably
send
not-
it out through Eventbrite so that
Yeah.
you can reach the people yesterday as well.
Yeah.
So let's get started with Maxine. We want to hear her voice. We have 2 excerpts. Both of them are from a film documentary done by Karen Cooper and Allison Mann in 2016 that was called On Being Green. It's available on our Maxine Greene YouTube channel, just a reminder. And here's the first excerpt where she's talking about imagination.
Imagination, it helps you think of things as if they could be otherwise, so it breaks with the sort of granite objectivity of things.
Talking about imagination, I can talk about poetic imagination, I can talk about visual imagination, and I can talk about social imagination. I want, as I think so many of us do, to awaken people not only to see, not only to feel, but to hold somebody's hand and to act. And that's why I talk about and try to talk about social imagination. And it's only when you think of a better way of life do you find what exists unendurable. That's the use of imagination. It's the, I guess you would say, it's the utopian thrust of imagination.
Great. There she goes. That was from a lecture that she gave at Teachers College, I believe, in 1998. But it's part of the On Being Green film. And following that, I have a excerpt also from the film, the documentary, where she's really talking more about the aesthetic experience, which we'll be exploring more of today. So here's Maxine talking about that.
How do you know when someone else has an aesthetic experience? Or how do you know when you have one, and how do you explain it? If I know more about perception and I know more about imagination, I can talk more meaningfully about what happens in an encounter between a person and a work of art. And I was just writing that I can't prove that either, that for me, like for a lot of people, the perceiver or the appreciator is on one side and the work of art is at the other. And the work of art is an event that occurs in the encounter between consciousness and the work. I don't want to say it's measurable, but I think that's true. I think you have to think of it as an event, and it's never the same for different people. Well, first of all, I try very hard to read the various positions in aesthetics, and I often begin a lecture or a class and asking myself about transcendent ideas or Aristotelian ideas of mimesis, or expressionist approaches or formalist approaches, and presently participant approaches. And then I always ask, and I ask myself, why does a tough secular person like me, when she hears something like some Bach cantatas or reads King Lear, I really feel I'm in touch with something transcendental, and why is that? And how does that happen? Is it a traditional linkage of the spirit? But it doesn't seem to be fed into me. So that's a kind. And I ask people, and myself, which of those approaches is most convincing? I think all of them at different points. If you aren't capable of being able to appreciate art, you're blind to half of what the world offers you. Like for example, those trees. They're not made by an artist, but I have an aesthetic experience with them, and I don't know if it's because I saw Manet or not. I think there's a way of being in the world that can be called aesthetic. It's consciousness in the world. There's no separation. And if I can look at those trees not just as a spectator, but it's my blood supply, And I think if so many people are deprived of that because we don't have arts, or very few people say, when the kids come to school, did you notice the leaf after the rain stopped? And I think it's a terrible deprivation. But the trouble is, if the teacher doesn't feel it, it's going to be phony. That's the trouble,
Thank you, Maxine. We're going to try not to be phony. And just a small side note, she was 93 at that point. May we all be so wise.